The diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with the grace of a falling leaf, its crystalline hull reflecting the morning sun over Geneva. Inside, Ambassador Jatira of the Valkyrie Confederation checked her translator implant for the third time. Everything had to be perfect. This was humanity's first formal integration into the Galactic Council, and she had arrived 2 hours early to ensure proper protocol. The Valkyrie prided themselves on punctuality and precision. Jatira's people had been diplomats for over 12,000 years, mediating between species across 47 star systems. She had personally overseen the induction of 6 civilizations into the Council. Humans would be no different to Go, somewhat primitive, but teachable. Turcha transport touched down on the designated landing pad outside the United Nations complex. Jatira emerged, her forearms adjusting the ceremonial sash that marked her rank. The morning air was crisp, carrying unfamiliar scents. 2 human security officers stood at attention, their faces unreadable behind dark glasses. "Ambassador Zachira," one said with a slight bow, "will escort you to the conference hall. I am aware the formal proceedings do not begin for another 1.7 of your hours," Jatira said, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into perfect English. "However, early preparation demonstrates respect for, of course, Ambassador. This way, please." They led her through corridors of marble and glass. Jatira had reviewed the architectural files, but experiencing the structure firsthand was different. Primitive by galactic standards, yet there was something intentional about it. Every angle, every material seemed chosen with care. The conference hall doors stood open. Inside, a single human sat at the long table, surrounded by papers, data tablets, and what appeared to be multiple containers of a dark liquid. The human was female, young by their species standards, perhaps 30 of their years. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical style, and her eyes were fixed on a holographic display hovering above the table. "Excuse me," Jatira announced, stepping inside. "I am Ambassador Jatira of the Valkyrie Confederation. I have arrived early to shut up," the human said without looking up. One hand raised in a stopping gesture, Jatira's 4 arms went rigid. In 12,000 years of Valkyrie diplomatic history, absolutely no one had ever issued such a command to an ambassador. Her translator must have malfunctioned, surely. "I beg your pardon." Jatira's voice carried the harmonic of deep offense, a frequency that had made 3 previous species issue formal apologies. The human's hand remained raised. 30 seconds, please." The woman named Ava, her identification badge read Ava Chen, Special Liaison UN Zena Diplomacy Division, tilted her head, her eyes tracking something on the holographic display that Jatira couldn't see from her angle. Her lips moved silently, counting. Jatira felt her respiratory spiracles flare with indignation. This was unprecedented, unacceptable. She would report this breach of protocol to the Council. She would. "Okay," Ava said suddenly, her posture relaxing. She looked up at Jatira for the first time, and her expression was apologetic. "I'm so sorry, Ambassador. Please, sit down. Can I get you anything? We have water, various synthesized atmospheres. If you need an explanation," Jatira interrupted coldly, "would be appropriate." Ava stood, gesturing to a chair designed for Valkyrie physiology. "Of course, please, sit. I truly apologize for that greeting." She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. "Tell me, Ambassador, how much do you know about human neuro—" Jatira's rightmost hand made a dismissive gesture as she settled into the chair. "I have reviewed the basic medical files. Your species exhibits considerable neurological variation. Some find social interaction challenging, others process sensory information differently. It is ... not uncommon among younger species." "Right," Ava said. She pointed to a door adjacent to the conference hall. "In that room there's a young man named Parker Webb. He's 23 years old, and he's a genius, probably the brightest xenolinguist humanity has ever produced. He can perceive linguistic patterns that our best A's miss. He identified the recursive grammatical structure in Valkyrie formal speech within 6 hours of first exposure. That's the structure your people developed over 3,000 years." Jatira's interest peaked slightly despite her irritation. "Impressive, but I fail to see Parker is also autistic," Ava continued. "And he has hyperacusis, extreme sensitivity to certain sounds. When he's in a focused state, working through complex problems, unexpected sounds can be physically painful. They can trigger sensory overload that might take hours for him to recover from." She pulled up another holographic display, showing a waveform analysis. "See these spikes? That's the harmonic frequency range of Valkyrie speech. Beautiful to most humans. To Parker, when he's in a concentrated state, it's like someone driving needles into his auditory cortex. Jatira looked at the display, then at the door, then back at Ava. A strange feeling was developing in her thorax, something between embarrassment and curiosity. For the past 45 minutes, Ava explained, Parker has been in that room analyzing the 17 different Galactic Council languages that will be spoken today. He's identifying potential mistranslation points, cultural linguistic traps, places where metaphors don't cross species boundaries. The work he's doing right now will prevent dozens of potential diplomatic incidents over the next 6 hours. Ava's expression became earnest. When you spoke, he was at a critical junction, point linking Valkyrie ceremonial syntax with Vexian trade language pattern. If I hadn't stopped you immediately, if your voice had continued for another 3 seconds, his concentration would have shattered. We'd have lost his analysis, and more importantly, Parker would have been in pain. So you told me to shut up, Jatira said slowly. It was the fastest way to stop the sound, Ava admitted. Not diplomatic, definitely not polite, but necessary. She met Jatira's gaze directly. Parker can't advocate for himself in that moment. He can't explain what's happening or ask for accommodation. That's my job, to protect him so he can do what no one else can do. Jatira sat in silence, processing. In Valkyrie culture, the individuals served the collective through rigid adherence to protocol. But humans seem to bend their protocols to serve the individual's ability to contribute. This Parker, Jatira said finally, his work is truly essential. See for yourself. Ava pulled up a document. This is the draft treaty language the Council sent last month. And this, she highlighted several sections, is where Parker identified that the Valkyrie phrase for mutual defense translates in Dexian as preemptive aggression. Without his catch, we'd have signed a document that 3 species would interpret completely differently. Jatira felt her spiracles flutter with something like awe. In 12,000 years, the Valkyrie had never. The door opened. A young human male emerged, blinking in the brighter light. He was thin, dressed in comfortable clothing rather than formal attire, and he didn't make eye contact. He carried a data tablet clutched against his chest. Parker, Ava said gently, this is Ambassador The analysis is complete. Parker nodded, still not looking at either of them. 17 languages, 43 potential critical mistranslation points, prioritized by likelihood of diplomatic incident. He held out the tablet, and Ava took it carefully. Thank you, Ava said. Do you need anything? Want to rest before the proceedings? Music, Parker said quietly. Headphones, of course. Ava gestured to a side room. The quiet room is prepped for you. Parker left without acknowledging Jatira's presence. The ambassador watched him go, her understanding of humans shifting like tectonic plates. He did not greet me, Jatira observed. By protocol, that would be considered disrespectful. By his neurology, forcing eye contact and social pleasantries while transitioning from deep focus would be torture, Ava replied. We've learned that respect isn't one size. Real respect means understanding what each being needs to function at their best. Jatira looked at the tablet in Ava's hands, then at the door through which Parker had disappeared. Your species is not what I expected. Ava smiled. We're messy, we're inconsistent, we have a million different ways of being human, and we're still figuring out how to honor all of them. But that's actually our strength, isn't it? We don't fit people into protocols, we build protocols around people. The Council values uniformity, Jatira said. Predictability, maybe that's what humanity can offer. Then, a different perspective. Ava glanced at the tablet. Besides, Parker's analysis just saved the Council from a potential 3-way war. Seems like diversity of mind has practical applications. When the other delegates began arriving an hour later, they found Ambassador Jatira in deep conversation with Ava Chen, discussing how the Galactic Council might need to rethink its accommodation policies for neurodivergent beings across all species. The Valkyrie was taking extensive notes. And in a quiet room nearby, a young man named Parker listened to Batch's Goldberg variations through noise-canceling headphones, having just changed the trajectory of galactic diplomacy. Without saying more than 20 words, humanity's integration into the Galactic Council would indeed be different from all previous inductions, and it would start with 2 words: no ambassador.